Hello guys and welcome back. Welcome back to your weekly roundup of news. My name is Bamm Havoc and today joining me is G. G, say hello.
Hey everybody, yes it is Friday the 24th of January. And it's a news roundup for the last few days since last news episode.
Right guys, so first things first, Ubisoft. Far Cry New Dawn. New video, launched 23rd. Yes, I'm all over this. This is an amazing game and I'm probably going to buy it and play it. G?
Okay, so Far Cry New Dawn seemed to be a direct Far Cry 5 sequel. At least that's what they say, actually. That's straight from the website. It's a direct sequel to Far Cry 5. Post-apocalyptic, that's always fun. But I kind of have a question. Did you notice a little windmill thingy that uses license plate from cars? Why?
I didn't notice that. I was more focused on the shootings and the bang-bangs and the pew-pews, to be brutally honest. But when it comes to Far Cry, all I really think about is shooting and guns and upgrades. So that's what I think when I think of Far Cry games.
Yeah, fair enough. It's just, I like that we get all these post-apocalyptic games. I don't like how they don't get post-apocalyptic correct. Shit breaks down, yeah, but you're not going to go out and take pieces of a car and build a windmill out of. Particularly not just flat pieces of metal. And it's not the only one. It's all over that video. It's just, come on. I know you think it looks good. You're trying to tell some environmental story, but you can do better than this.
Make do and mend, G. Make do and mend. Personally, my little critique of this is it's trying to out Bethesda at Skyrim. So, yes, to me, I get a very strong sense of, Ubisoft taking a quick jab at Bethesda for Fallout 76.
Yeah, I don't know. It looks fun. It looks good. That's not it. It looks really pretty, I would say, as well.
You got that sort of sense as well. It does look very crisp, very clean. I'm pretty sure post-apocalyptic would be dire and a lot more industrial and a lot more dirt, but you never know.
Yeah, but it's going to be somewhere in the middle of nowhere, America, right? Just tell the art director to tone it down with the inventiveness. People are not going to go stupid just because it's been post-apocalyptic.
And I see which topic you want to discuss next. Right, guys, the third topic I had for you today, which is now the second topic, thanks to G, is the creator-director for CD Projekt Red, and he's obviously creator-director for Cyberpunk 2077, has left and has now joined the ranks of Blizzard, thanks to a little bit of a tidbit on his LinkedIn account. Yeah.
Sebastian Stepien, yeah. Started as a dialogue writer, became a lead story designer. 12 years ago already. Creative director, narrative and setting director. So he seems to have had a lot to do with the setting, with the storytelling in Cyberpunk 2077. But we don't know how much, of course, because if there's a company that doesn't tell us anything, it's CD Projekt Red.
CD Projekt Red are very, very cagey when it comes to leaking any details, and particularly when they had the are you assuming their gender issue last year. I can see why now they're doubling down on the secrecy. So, yeah, one of those things.
But it's going to be fun for this guy. He's going to come from a company in Poland, I guess, situated in a couple of places in Poland, actually, to a company based in California, and he's going to come from a company that takes, a decade to make a game to, let's face it, Blizzard puts out sequels every other year.
Yeah, but you see, this is the bit that I understand, is that I'm pretty sure Blizzard isn't hurting for storytellers, world crafters, and individuals of that nature. I thought they had a plethora of people amongst their own ranks, but clearly not. They managed to pilfer one from CD Projekt Red.
If you're going to pilfer, particularly in this area, yeah, CD Projekt Red is not a bad one to pilfer from. They done well.
Well, to be fair, I like me some BioWare.
Yeah, BioWare's people, all the old guard is long gone, more or less. But they still have quite a few storytellers up there in Montreal. So, yeah, they're probably well set. I think this is a good move. If Blizzard are looking to make a new IP, or upgrade one of the existing ones, it's probably not a bad person to get hold of.
I reckon they're starting out a new IP personally, especially since Bungie, I think, are looking out for some storytellers for Destiny 3.
Oh, now we're getting into the rumor area, aren't we?
Oh, yes, I had to, because it's a segue into another rumor area, believe it or not, the rumors of, believe it or not, Fallout 76, a common theme amongst us guys here at Bamsters, is not going free to play, confirmed by a tweet on the actual account. Yes, you guys have all probably seen the video from the quartering, so, as have I, and that's where I first heard about this from, that there were some rumblings about Fallout 76 going free to play. There is a lot of debate and discussion about it on the Reddit forums and whatever, so yeah, Fallout 76 going free to play. I'm not necessarily a fan of the idea, but I understand why they've done it, because there was not a very big warm reception for Fallout 76 after it launched. It seemed the hammer came down hard on this game.
Yeah, we mentioned it Monday that it looked like there was something going on. I think we also kind of pointed out, look, this is just supply chain rearrangement or something similar, drawdown of stock. These things happen. And it was more or less limited to Australia. So yeah, it was a weird rumor that it was somebody who speculated too much. I'm sorry. So it's not going free to play? I don't know, is it confirmed? They said there's no truth in this rumor. Yeah, but that doesn't mean they won't do it next year.
This is true. There's no truth in the current rumor. You see, now that's the tinfoil that's coming out on me. It's not true this time around. But then what happens in 6 months when the game completely cans itself? Yeah, maybe.
People are enjoying it. Yeah, as I said, development-wise, software-wise, it's not a good game mechanically. The underpinning seems very unstable, but it's a fun game when it works.
I've got a top tip for you. Go play the new Far Cry. There we go. There's your Fallout experience.
I know Drag's already excited because there's a Far Cry DLC coming as well, I think.
Yep.
He seems to be really eager. Poor boy.
Very, very eager. And believe it or not, that CD Projekt Red tidbit was for my man Drag. Right, G, believe it or not, PlayStation Now has finally expanded into Europe. Yes, places like Spain, Italy, Portugal, Denmark, Norway, Finland, and Sweden. PlayStation Plus Now. You get the subscription. Obviously, there's a beta going now, clearly, right? Sometime in February, early February. You join the subscription and you get to play over 600 games. Essentially, that means you do not have to buy any games, any older games, because I don't think they'll have any current releases unless it's like PlayStation only. So there we go. You want to have a current AAA game? I don't think this service will provide that.
Yeah, it's one of those, I would stay away. It's just, I like my PlayStations, but the PS Now has really been all over the map, hasn't it? In the UK, you can buy TVs that are PlayStation Now branded, but they don't work with PlayStation Now because that's been disabled. So,
that's the bit that irritates me. I'm looking at all these Bravias and Sonys, and I like me some Sony. I like me some Japanese electronics in my own domicile, right? But that irritates me when you get a TV branded PlayStation Now, and then when you've got it, it don't work because they've cancelled the service. It's like, yeah.
And it's those cancellations, and it's those ideas where they go out and say, oh, we'll do it this way, and then they won't, and oh, we'll do this thing, and then they cancel it. PlayStation Now is one of the oldest one of these streaming services. They bought up a previous one as well. As in, they bought a streaming service and made it PlayStation Now. But it's been all over the map in terms of functionality, services. So, it's probably a good service, but it's not stable enough. It's a little bit the Google of streaming video games. I'm gonna stick with my GeForce now because that seems to keep working. And Shadow looks interesting, but they're brand new. So let's see how that goes.
Well, that's interesting the way you put it in Google. In my notes, I've put there Netflix for games, or rather Netflix for PlayStation games on console, trying to out-Steam Microsoft at their own game. That's the little tidbit footnote that I stuck there. Because if you think about it, Microsoft's going about it the right way when it comes to indie games, making it easier for the transition from PC to console to get a much wider market. And that's just the theme that keeps running around in my head. PlayStation are putting up these barriers, even though they say they're indie game friendly, and they keep hammering the indie devs, so I have this running in my mind. Is this service thing going to be providing any means towards the indie scene to get their game on that platform? Because then, if that's the case, well, then I might actually be interested, because it's like opening up a new door. So much interest there.
You know what I would say if GeForce Now still supported what did they call it? Is it a tablet or whatever? Basically, GeForce, Nvidia have not just their streaming service, but they also have like tablets and little dongles you plug into TVs to do things. They kind of sort of stopped doing them because they expected third parties to do the hardware. They just made their little hardware things to show that it could be done. Then they put GeForce Now on it, and now they're not quite maintaining and making new products. It's a little bit limbo there as well. Get one of those things, because that's where you're going to be able to access indie games. Or, Atomic, but they're not on consoles, TVs, and what have you.
Yeah, believe it or not, Atomic does come to mind with this, and all I can really say is Atomic, come to console, please.
Yeah, but that will have to be a full-on streaming, which Atomic isn't so much. So I don't know what would be the best. If you really want to play indie games, it's probably going to be uphill. But again, GeForce Now, because you can access Steam libraries, yeah, that's going to be my suggestion. Same headaches, as I said, with PS Now, hardware, availability, not quite the stable services. In terms of business, the services, when it runs nicely.
Well, guys, believe it or not, that is G's summary of it all. Right. Last bit of news, and this is actually a topic that G's brought to the table. So it's a little bit political, so don on your thinking caps here, boys and girls. So almost 50% of game devs want to be unionized. Now, this is an interesting topic. I have my thoughts on the matter, but G, could you please explain the nuances about this particular topic and keep it brief, because I can already feel my eyes rolling into the back of my head.
Yeah, this is probably a topic that's a little bit more my alley, because I've actually been not just in a union, but been on board of directors and stuff in unions when I was a younger man. But yeah, Game Developers Conference to GDC, they had a little questionnaire. They do that every time. And go and say, what is the state of the industry? I wonder where they got that name. And this time it had questions about unionizing and where is unionizing going, all the over hours, the mistreatment, old stories about people not getting their names in the game where they worked on it, etc. What's the case now, and what are we doing about it? And something like 47% said, yeah, we would actually think unionizing would be the correct thing. We would unionize. So it means that 53 are either unsure or just don't want to. I think as much as 16% came out and said, we don't want to unionize because unions have a bad rep. But it is the way you kind of combat this whole 100 hours plus, because the individual developer does not have a way of saying no. And if they say no, even if a small group say no, the employer can punish them. So having a union behind you allows you to go out and say, okay, the union will help us hit back at this developer. And as all these developers, publishers, etc., they are consolidating to some degree still. That means you can actually hit them quite hard, because you might end up hitting them across multiple games.
Now, you see, explained like that, I don't see any recourse, any sort of disagreements, or any issues with the way you've explained it. However, I'm a bit hesitant. I think I'm with the 60 other percent, a little bit hesitant, because unions can be a force for good. They really, really can. Okay? They can stop the overwork, they can stop the mistreatment, they can stop the poor working conditions, they can stop the bleeding fingers of the devs trying to make us a good game. They can provide us the escapism, they can provide us the entertainment, and they can provide us the sheer joy and terror that we all crave in a video game. However, just as much as they can be a force for good, they can be a force for evil. I'm using good and bad here, probably not necessarily. It's a lot of grey when it comes to this sort of thing. They can stop a game in its tracks, quite literally, and because of that, then the game gets cancelled. Devs will lose their jobs, the publisher and developer will probably go under, all those things. Perhaps it's nice to have that threat there, so that the publishers and developers can treat people like people, then rather than, I don't know, finger-typing robots. Perhaps that's probably what they need. But if a consolidated union happens and they grind their heels into the dirt, more than one company, one game, one area of entertainment will grind to a halt and will never ever see the light of day. How many games you know of personally, G, that we've been told on by many people that have moved on from AAA to indie and then back from indie to AAA haven't seen the light of day? More than I care to remember. You know, so a lot more games will be lost, a lot more joy will be lost, a lot more fun will be lost. So there's my sort of thought on it. Yes, we need to stop the overwork. Yes, we need to improve conditions for everyone involved in the development of a game. And yeah, you know, treat people like people. However, the world isn't such a nice black and white area. It's a lot of grey, so yeah.
Yeah, let me try and elaborate a bit. I think you're right that there can be a headache that if unions end up, you know, fighting back against overhours. Remember Rockstar, they were outright proud to have people working 100+ hours. But if the people end up saying no and unions step in and says, yeah, we're going to help you say no, there is a risk for some games to simply be cancelled because the cost is going to be unbearable. Or at least a publisher is going to say, we're not going to make enough money. Therefore, we're going to cancel this game late in development. So that is a risk, but that's a risk I think is worth taking. The one, goes back to my own youth. I've actually been in the situation. I once accepted a job, moved across country, got there, and was basically day 2, not day 1, day 2, presented with, here's your labor union boss, or labor union representative. Here's the paperwork for joining the labor union. Sign now. It was just obvious if I didn't sign, I would be forced out. It's illegal, pretty much everywhere. But those things happen. I hope nowadays a union starting now, this was, as I said, a while ago, and it was an old labor union, entrenched. I hope whatever comes out now will be nice enough to not have that behavior, not to force people into it. Because that is an actual problem, is one that continues today. Metal industry, electronics, etc. Transport. Ooh, that's always the fun one with the Teamsters. So there are issues, there are problems, there are risks. But I think on the whole, we're in a better place with unions now than we were 30, 40 years ago. And I think they're worth going with. So, just to round this up a little bit, in the UK, Game Workers Unite UK is now a legal trade union. And they're registered under a larger one, of course. But that means if you're in the UK, if you're a game worker, you actually have a place to go to now.
Right, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for your weekly news roundup. It ended on a bit of a political note, however, it's a very important note. The games industry is full of dubious and devious practices throughout. And the sooner we stop it, the better for everyone, because the only one thing that can happen from it is better games. Yes, Bethesda squashes the rumours that Fallout 76 is going to be free-to-play. PlayStation Now is live in most of Europe. Far Cry New Dawn on the Ubisoft YouTube channel has launched a video, gameplay trailer, a lot of fun. And the creative director of CD Projekt Red has left for Blizzard. So yeah, guys, there's your weekly news update, roundup with me and G. My name is Bamm Havoc. Love you guys. Toodle pip.
And as always, my name is Resident. You can call me G, and stay tuned for news on Monday with Drac. We got it there.